One Question is designed to give subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown and welcome to One Question. Our guest today is Sam Atkinson. Sam is currently the Associate Athletics Director for Communications at Gallaudet University. Greetings, Sam. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Ty. It's great to be here.
Now, Sam, you've been there at Gallaudet for 9 years. And of course, Gallaudet is a school for deaf and hard of hearing students. And you work in athletics. And there are a lot of stories told about Gallaudet. And I would imagine that one of your purposes for being there and your role is to make sure that the stories are told correctly. What is your strategy for ensuring that the Gallaudet athletics story is told and told correctly?
Well, Ty, first of all, we are in Washington, D.C., so we understand and know our place in the sports media landscape here. And we're not worried about our daily coverage of our teams. And what we've done, we've focused more on building our relationships with the local and national media. So when we do have a story that is, that's when I make the opportunity to make my pitch. And when we have media that shows interest in coming to Gallaudet, we like to roll out the red carpet as much as possible. We want to make sure that the media has a seamless experience working with us. And we know most of the time this is their first time working with deaf and hard of hearing individuals, and we only have one chance to make a first impression. So our hope is to make sure they have a great experience working with us and that they will want to come back in the future. And we also work with educating the media that visit our campus, and we teach them about Gallaudet as a university. We teach them about deaf culture and our athletics. We also want them to work with our interpreters and how to speak with our student athletes and coaches the proper way.
And of course, that's important. One of the biggest things you said there was that you never get a second chance to make a first impression. What is the overall process for deciding what that first impression would be? Like, which aspects of the Gallaudet story will be told?
Right, and we want our stories to tell the entire story about our student athletes. Our goal and philosophy has always been to make sure the focus is on our student athletes' success in the classroom or in competition, not only because they are deaf. Our student athletes and coaches are just like anybody else. They just can't hear. But being able to work with media and trying to explain to them the challenges that our teams and our coaches face on the field of competition, and also working together and communicating in a different language, in American Sign Language, is a whole different barrier that no other school has to deal with.
Right. I'd imagine when most of the media, if they do show up to Gallaudet, they probably have a story in mind, and I suppose you guide them in the direction you want the story to go.
Yeah, we definitely want to work with our media and make sure that they get what they need, and we never say you can't do one side of a story or the other, but we also want to make sure that they focus on the complete story and not just that our student athletes can't hear.
Right.
A lot of our student athletes here are Division I and Division II quality student athletes, and for them, what they're doing here, they've been able to win national awards, academic All-American awards, and great success as a team and gone to NCAA tournaments. So we also want to make sure with the media that we can help steer them in the right direction as far as focusing on the complete student athlete, and also knowing more about the student athlete's background, because a lot of our student athletes, they've overcome a lot of obstacles in their lives, and there are some great stories that we're just happy and thrilled to be able to share with the world.
Exactly, and mentioning the student athletes, how do you prepare them for media attention? What is your process of preparing student athletes to face the public, the external publicity that they'll get, as they do things on and off the field that make Gallaudet look great?
Well, for a lot of our student athletes, this is their first interaction with reporters and media. So we try to make them as comfortable as possible. We'll try to meet with them prior to an interview and kind of go over logistics and prepare them with background about the story, the reporter, and the media agency that's covering them. And also try to prep them with some expected questions to kind of help calm their nerves and help them out. And for them, working with the interpreters, we want to make sure that their responses are being said clearly to the media, and the media is talking to our student athletes just like anybody else. Like, sometimes media will come here and they'll start just looking at the interpreters, and we just want them just to kind of focus on the coach, focus on the student athlete, just talk to them like you would talk to anybody else. And that way they're able to connect as a reporter and as a subject matter, as a student athlete and coach, talking back to the reporter. I think that's when you get a better report and you get a better story. And I think once the media becomes more comfortable working with us and being here and talking with our student athletes, they're able to really connect.
Okay, and within the conference, the Northeastern Athletic Conference, you've been a member since 2010. Have they adapted to make communication easy when you guys show up for an athletic contest within the conference for any sport?
Yes, they have. And the NEAC has been great in trying to get their members to learn a little bit of sign language to communicate with our coaches and our student athletes. And then we've even had people from Gallaudet travel to every institution over time and speak about deaf culture and speak about Gallaudet to them, and even teach them some introductions to American Sign Language. And being able to break that communication barrier down a little bit has gone a long way on the field when our teams are playing each other.
Right. It sounds like if you are lucky enough to play Gallaudet, you actually you learn something from the experience, is what that sounded like to me.
Exactly. You learn a whole different language.
Right. Exactly. Which is a great thing. I will say I have a small history interacting with Gallaudet. In my time as the director of education for the American Football Coaches Association, we had Coach Goldstein, football coach, speak at our national conference. It was a year. I think you guys did pretty good there. You started off 8 or 9-0 and had a pretty good record there. And
right.
some of the talk we mentioned before, you said that was pretty good publicity for Gallaudet.
No doubt. And in 2013, our team started off 9-0 and really became the Division III media darlings that year, and we were able to make our first ever appearance in the NCAA tournament for any men's team in Gallaudet history that season. And we were able to get national recognition from ESPN College Game Day. We were working with a lot of different national football publications, and we were able to tell our story over 60 times in a month span. And we got great recognition for our student athletes and our program during that time. And to me, as a sports information director, you really need to strike when the skillet is hot type deal, and make sure that you run with the ball when you have the opportunity to publicize your program. You don't always have an opportunity like this, and when you have the national focus on your program, you kind of drop everything that you're doing just to kind of keep pushing the story out there and trying to tell the story a different way every time. And we were able to make a lot of great connections, and we've been able to use those media connections down the road to help publicize other programs and teams over the years.
Well, Sam, it sounds like with your help over the last 9 years, and of course Gallaudet has been around for years, or for hundreds of years, it sounds like sports, the great equalizer, the thing that brings people from a variety of backgrounds and variety of challenges together to work as a team. It sounds like that has happened and is happening at Gallaudet. So I appreciate you joining us here on One Question.
Thanks, Ty. And just to throw in there real fast, to talk about coming together, you have to remember, too, Gallaudet founded the Huddle in the 1890s. So there you go.
That is actually something I did not know, and that is an excellent piece of information. And you can see out of necessity where that possibly came from. Again, thank you very much, Sam, for joining us today on One Question.
No problem. It was great to be here. Thanks.
That was Sam Atkinson. He's the Associate Athletics Director for Communications at Gallaudet University. And this is Ty Brown with One Question. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of One Question is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.